Today is Friday, August 29, 2014, the 241st day of the year. There are 124 days remaining until the end of 2014. Sunrise today is at 6:10 a.m. Solar noon is at 12:51 p.m. The sun sets at 7:32 p.m. Length of daylight hours today is 13 hours, 22 minutes, 5 seconds, 2 minutes, 54 seconds shorter than yesterday. Tomorrow will be 2 minutes, 54 seconds shorter than today. The waxing crescent moon rises at 10:06 a.m. with 15.9% illumination, appears directly overhead passing the celestial meridian at 3:45 p.m. and sets at 9:17 p.m. The moon passes today above downtown Rutland City at 246,340 miles distant from the center of planet Earth within the 7th zodiacal designation, Libra, the scales. Under mostly clear skies in downtown Rutland, today's forecast calls for sunshine with a few afternoon clouds and a high daytime temperature around 75 degrees on the Fahrenheit scale with light winds. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with overnight low temperature of 53 degrees and light southeast winds. Saturday, look for a mix of clouds and sunshine, a high daytime temperature of 79 degrees and light south wind. Pollen count today 7.8 out of 12. Humidity is high, 86%. UV index safe, 0 out of 12, and air quality remains good. The highest recorded temperature in the contiguous United States on Thursday is 114 degrees at Thermal in the Golden State, California. The lowest temperature, 30 degrees at Spinsich Lake, Michigan, the Wolverine State. Conscience is the inner voice that warns us somebody may be looking. Henry Louis Mencken. Nature World News reports compared to the Chernobyl meltdown, the levels of radiation released by the Fukushima-Daiichi power plant disaster in 2011 were a drop in the bucket. Even so, a new series of studies has shown that certain types of birds, plants, and insects in Japan are all suffering from the impacts of nuclear fallout. Researchers say studying these organisms will help them better understand the complex dangers of radiation. These studies were all recently published in the Journal of Heredity and detail observations on how non-human organisms in the immediate Fukushima-Daiichi area were affected by radiation a mere few months after the initial power plant disaster. A growing body of empirical results from studies of birds, monkeys, butterflies, and other insects suggests that some species have been significantly affected by the radioactive releases related to the Fukushima disaster, Timothy Mousseau, lead author of one of the studies, said recently. A common theme among the studies is that prolonged exposure to low doses of radiation has a very different effect on organisms compared to sudden high-level exposure, such as what was seen at Chernobyl. Interestingly, researchers found that instead of outright killing or obviously harming organisms, the low-dose radiation effects were insidious. In rice, for instance, low-level gamma radiation in Fukushima Prefecture began to alter healthy seedlings on a genetic level in only 3 days, hampering the activation of self-defense traits and altering DNA replication. Butterflies suffered too, while populations remained stable with no mass insect deaths. Pale grass-blue butterflies in the immediate Fukushima area were found to be smaller and growing more slowly than the average, suggesting an impact at a developmental level. Mousseau said, detailed analyses of genetic impacts to natural populations could provide the information needed to predict recovery times for wild communities at Fukushima, as well as any sites of future nuclear accidents. There is an urgent need for greater investment in basic scientific research of the wild animals and plants of Fukushima. This is today's Weather Minute. I'm Richard Alcott.